Right guys, welcome down to Finch Friday, which is now on a Sunday, which I think is probably a new record for me. I don't think I've ever stretched it over 2 days before, but I've just been absolutely slammed last couple of days with coaching, not had any chance to film it. So, welcome to Finch Sunday, a new weekly Q&A. And as always, loads of questions in. We're going to get through 5 that maybe not have answered before, so let's get into them forthwith. So first up, what are your favourite on-course snacks / drinks to keep energy levels up? So I'm by no means an expert on this. This is something that I'm still trying to get right, but generally it's just staying away from stuff with high sugar concentration. So fizzy drinks, chocolate bars, the ones that are going to give you a very fast rush of energy but then cause you to crash. Those are the ones you want to try and avoid. Probably the best ones to be sticking to are fruit. They've got more type of slow release. That's this focus, testing out new cameras today. More slow release types of sugars. But one of the best things you can do before you play is actually have a cup of coffee. Because science has found that that's a fantastic pre-workout / pre-sporting performance drink. And as you can imagine, that is incredibly good news for me. Trying to cross the road while doing this is very, very dangerous. Sorry. Driver of the Passat looking for Aldi, we're so sorry. I think you're going to end up at Morrison's. So that question from Jason Katz, thank you very much. And the next question, should the PGA Tour implement a better shot clock rule? And that is from Pierce Wester Holt. Now this question is mainly due down to one player, and there's quite a few other questions on this. So JB Holmes last week at Torrey Pines, he basically took the mick a little bit on the last hole. He had to wiggle it to get into a playoff, and he took ages, and I'm talking ages over that last shot. I'll try and find the full clip and I'll start a timer from when he got to the ball to when he actually hit his shot, if I can. And in the intervening time period, basically Alex Noren, who had to birdie the last 2 win to beat Jason Day, who eventually won the playoff, he had an iron in his hands, he was ready to go, hybrid in his hands, he was ready to go. And because JB Holmes took so long, he actually switched clubs, and we don't know how much it actually affected him, but it seemed to affect him quite a lot. And I think sometimes in certain situations you can forgive players, but at the end of all of it, JB Holmes just pulled out an iron, hit it in the rough to lay up, and gave himself no chance of getting in the playoff either. It was a really odd, strange set of circumstances that it was really out of order. I did feel sorry for Alex Noren. If I was him, I would have just played. I'd hit. I'd have ignored him and I'd have hit. And I'm pretty sure everyone would have sympathised with him. As far as adding a shot clock in, yeah, I would agree with that. Just to try and negate things like that happening, because it was pathetic, really. It was absolutely pathetic. So if something can be changed and brought in to change that, then I'm all for it. But I think generally slow play in golf has been an issue for a while anyway, especially on tour. So anything that can be done to speed that up and to make it a little bit quicker, then by all means. And what do you guys think about it? Please comment below if you watched it. What did you think? Do you think shot clocks should be introduced a little bit more regularly? Because there are tournaments out there that do have one, but should they be more stringent on it? And what are your general thoughts on slow play? Is it an issue? The temperature has dropped a little since we had the coffee. So I'm trying to keep as warm as possible. Kind of walking down a posh street with my hood up, though, is probably not the best idea. However, next question. This is from Zacy Boy. Hi Pete, I'm a junior playing off 24. Haven't put any cards in for a long time. Got tips to lower my handicap. And this is a question I get quite a lot about, just general tips to lower handicap. And you know, it's not difficult. You got to play and practice and work hard. But I think your particular answer is wrapped up in the question. Got to get playing in more comps. It's amazing how many people think that to get better at golf, what you need to do is practice. That is part of it, but the main part of it to get better is play. There's a big difference between practicing to be good at golf and then actually learning to play the game. And it's one of the biggest mistakes I made as a junior, is practicing too much and not playing enough. So what I would always suggest is, if you have the ability to say practice 10 hours a week, so play and practice 10 hours a week, 5 of that should be spent practicing, 5 of that on the course. Split your time equally. don't just practice, because at the end of the day you're going to become a very good range player, very good practice ground player, but then not be that good in competitions where the pressure is on. That pressurized play, that's where you've got to get better at. Okay, a question here from Ben Giddings 33. I'm using quite old clubs that have quite a lot of wear and tear. I replaced my wedges, but what do you think is more important to replace first, woods or irons? I think it depends on the time frame that we're talking about, to be honest, because woods, as in drivers and all the rest of it, the advancement that they've made in the last 3 years, not that great. You know, you can quite happily play with a driver from 3 years ago. So I'm playing with my M2, which is the 2016 version, so that's 2 years, and I can't really see a massive noticeable difference between that and the newer products. There's maybe slight differences, and certainly with a little bit more tweaking I could maybe get a little bit more yardage, but I'm happy with what I'm using. However, if you go from a driver today to 7 years ago, that's a bit of a bigger jump. So it just depends how old your clubs are. If I was to make a suggestion, not based on obviously knowing what you have, I'd say probably woods over than irons, because irons, you know, there's still top pros playing with irons from many years ago. You know, iron technology, yes, it's moved on, but especially the type of clubs that I use in blades, you know, I could quite happily pick up a set of MP33s and play very good golf with them. So it depends on your circumstances, but irons, you know, you can still play with old irons and they'll do you a very good job. Oh, it's absolutely Baltic out there now. So the last question here on Twitter from Mike McNulty: is there really much difference in putters comparing, say, a £50 putter to a £200 putter? Or would you say it's more just about finding the one that works for you and working on technique? Putters are interesting because I think if you look at the way that companies market certain products, I think putters are the ones where you can probably find some of the silliest claims about kind of skid and roll and so much more. The fact is, putters, if you get a putter from 20 years ago, it's still going to do a very similar job to things that are out there at this moment in time. Yes, there's been advances, and the forgiveness on some of the putters, the moment of inertia increases on some of the putters, and the styling of the putters, yes, that's improved. But the fact is, you can get a Scotty from, say, 15 years ago, refurbish it, make it look beautiful, and it's going to work just as good as most of the ones out there at this moment in time. The most important thing with a putter is that you have confidence with it. So if you look at a player like Matt Fitzpatrick on the European Tour, obviously Ryder Cup player, and a fantastic player, still so young, he still uses a Yes Tracy putter. Now, those putters are, how old now? Yeah, we're looking at almost about 10 years, I think, and that is still serving him absolutely perfectly well. And there's other examples on tour of players who are using older putters and still finding the bottom of the cup. So a newer putter generally will freshen up the mind. I think that's one thing that I found in the last few months when I've just been firing through loads of putters. Get a new putter down, performance-wise it probably won't be different, but it just freshens up the mind, makes you a little bit more confident in some cases. But I would always recommend, as with most things, getting a putter fitting if you can, because that will open your eyes up a little bit. Other than that, grip's important, length's important, lie's important, and all that stuff can get included within a fitting. Right guys, thank you so much for watching this week's Finch Friday on a Sunday. Hopefully JB's shot clock has now finished. I'm going to get this edited, uploaded, and tomorrow off to Spain. So I might try and do a bit of a daily video from Spain. More of a daily vlog style, but we'll see. I'll decide on the plane over. But thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on my other social media platforms as well. And I'm going to go sit by the fire. See you later, guys.